Today, I will be talking about social dynamics and how they affect college. Moving into a dorm at GU, it's shown me that social groups and social situations form in so many different ways, manners, and fashions. There's certain groups that you see forming right away. There's your relationship with your roommate, and in my specific case, my fellow suite members in TUI, as well as the other people around you, and what those groups form like, and how they get separated, brought together, combined, and how they just form in general. Now, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is having a roommate. In most standard dorms, you'll have one roommate, possibly if you're living in a suite style, multiple roommates. Now, my experience with my roommate has been very positive. From day one, we came together and we were talking, and it was a good, beneficial experience. I feel like that relationship was brought forward just by talking and having somewhat similar personalities and being able to just figure each other out. And we
provide some testimony from my...
And Tommy, what do you think it's like having a roommate in Suitemates?
I think having a roommate's really cool. I always by myself in my own room, but having a roommate's fun because it's like living with a homie. You can do whatever you want. You can mess around with them. You guys can talk. Someone's always there with you. Having
some insight on what it's like to have suite mates as well, as we all live in TUI. So here's...
I guess in a way, it kind of just adds up how much you can mess with people. I enjoy having suite mates. I think it's a really good experience. And that's...
It's really obvious to see that students really do enjoy having roommates and having people to spend time with on a consistent basis. It really does add to the social experience of college and living in a dorm. Next, I want to talk about the groups that have formed and within TUI and why they may have formed, and provide some interview-based evidence about the opinions of some of the people from said groups. First, I have an interview with Gregory Stadmuller, who weighed in a bit about why he thinks some of these groups formed and why they were put together and the reasons that they separated out from.
So, Greg, as a member of the TUI dorm, how do you think the social groups here have formed?
It's kind of obvious. Well, I don't know. They kind of separated from, girls into guys. Mainly saying that, the girls, or the majority of all the girls are in a completely different program. Or majority of them, some of them aren't. And they're all on, the team, so it's kind of like jocks separating out. Except for Ian and Larry, they hang out with us, which is pretty cool. But yeah, man.
In this effect, I see that Greg weighs in on a pretty true point. At the beginning, it really started out as a separation between men and women in the dorm, and also between the STEP and GUST programs. There didn't seem like there was a very large amount of interaction between the two groups until maybe the second or third week. This may have been caused by not having a real opportunity just to talk to each other outside of classes or outside of events that we were being made to participate in. Not that it was a bad part, but we weren't given tons of time or a situation where it would just be amazing to mingle with each other. Given that situation, though, I have seen improvement between the groups in TUI. People naturally move to come together. We're hardwired to talk and to socialize with the new people around us. So, although there may have been pretty significant separations in the very beginning between some of the members in the dorm, it has mostly gone away at this point, and everybody's starting to really get along with one another. So, as social integration becomes less of a problem and the groups become less separated, everyone is really getting along more, and it's creating a lot more situations that I've seen for everyone to grow. Students really do grow from getting to know other students. I've seen study groups being organized between people that, for the first 2 weeks, barely talked. I've seen people going out to dinner, out to lunch, watching movies together, enjoying their college experiences with people that they may not have talked to for a week or even when they were living with them. It's really amazing to see how everybody is warming up to each other and becoming friends, forming these relationships. And the social dynamic in TUI, it's gotten so much more friendly. It feels more like a community now than in the beginning, where it felt kind of like a awkward separation between a few different groups of people. I want to talk about what it takes to make these groups turn from a number of medium-sized groups like they are now to everyone being a part of the same community. And the solution, to me and to many others, we don't know it yet. And we might not know it until we make it into the full year. And as students, we're going to have experience living in dorms, the people around us, what it's like to be in college. And I have an interview from a good friend of mine named Bryce Rickers, who's going to be attending GU next year. And I want you to hear what he thinks that dorm life is going to be like. And I think he has a pretty good idea of what might be dissolving all the groups.
He's going to be an incoming freshman at Gonzaga University, living in the DeSmet dorm this year. Bryce, as an incoming freshman, what do you think the social aspect, like with people, is going to be like in DeSmet?
I think it's going to be a lot different than high school. I mean, I can't know about it too much, but I think instead of like having your own high school group of people, you're going to be hanging out kind of with everyone, and you're all going to be with each other and do everything together.
Obvious as it is, Bryce hasn't been to college yet, but I feel like he has a pretty legitimate thought there. Thinking that everyone is going to spend their time together is really how it should be. Everyone splitting up into small groups is okay. Of course, people are going to make better friends with some people than they are others. But having that group dynamic and that community, that's what being human is about. It's creating a social situation where everyone can be who they are and create memories and life and just experience what it is to live in college. Bringing this to a conclusion, I've talked about roommates, suite mates, I've talked about how the groups that I've experienced and the people around me have experienced have formed. And as well as I've talked about how it might be possible to dissolve these groups and to create more of a full community among the students here at Gonzaga and the students in TUI that I go to classes with every day. We live in a social world filled with people, different personalities, different realities that we all have to live with each day. And it really will help each person to have one or more people to always be with and talk with. This is Jack Nixon, signing off. I'd like to thank Gregory Stadmuller, Tommy Gonzalez, and Bryce Rickers for the interviews that they gave me, and as well as the artists of the music that I used in this podcast. It is theirs and their respective use. I am not claiming responsibility for it. Of the scholarly papers that I read for background information, whose names will be stated in the written script from this podcast. Thank you very much. Have a good life.